free. I was too excited before, I got ahead of myself, but we are definitely on schedule now for this panel with Aerospace Logistics, the backbone of MRO readiness. And what a wonderful audience we have for this one. So while aircraft maintenance often takes the spotlight, it is efficient logistics that quietly ensures that aircraft remain operational and maintenance schedules stay on track. In a rapidly expanding aviation market, the availability of spare parts, effective warehousing strategies, customs, facilitation, digital tracking, and well-structured regional distribution hubs play a critical role in reducing turnaround times and responding quickly to aircraft on-ground situations. So, to moderate this discussion, we are pleased to welcome Ms. Mireily Hackman, Regional Customs Director, E&M Sector, AP, DHL Group Customer Solutions and Innovation.
Welcome, Ms. Mireily. We would request you to kindly take the chair that's specially allocated for our moderator to the extreme left of the stage. And Mireily, you'd perhaps like to greet our illustrious panelists as they join us on stage. So we take the pleasure and the privilege welcoming Dr. Surinder Kumar Bansal, EVP Engineering and Maintenance, SpiceJet Limited. Let's welcome him with a nice warm round of applause. I'd also like to welcome Air Vice Marshal K.H. Kishore, Procurement Department, Indian Air Force. Welcome, sir. Let's keep the applause going, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to welcome Mr. Sreedhar K., Head of Technical Procurement and Logistics, Akasa Air. Welcome, sir. We'd like to welcome Colonel Hemant, VSM Retired Head, Aerospace and Defense, Southwest Asia, DSV Air and Sea Private Limited. Welcome, sir. We'd like to welcome Mr. Suresh Pahangdale, Director, RSR Aviation Services Private Limited. Welcome, sir. We would like you to join us. Once again, Mr. Suresh, I believe he'll join us in a short while from now. Mr. Anurag Mehrotra, welcome, sir. He's the Vice President, Aerospace and Defense, Continental Carriers. Welcome, Mr. Anurag. We'd also like to welcome Mr. Ashok Bhasin, Deputy General Manager, Divyansh Aviation Services Private Limited. Welcome, Mr. Ashok. And yes, please do take your seats. Thank you so very much, gentlemen. And with that, we'd like to hand over to our moderator, Ms. Mireily Hackman. Ma'am, if you can kindly take the discussion forward.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us here for this very specific and very important discussion we are about to have. Here on the stage, we have people from different backgrounds, but all in very, very important positions in our industry. So the first question I'm about to ask is, what is the currently bottleneck that we are talking about when we hear and we talk about turnarounds here in India? And I would like to direct this question to Ms. Hemant, because not only he has the experience with the freight forwarding part, with the logistics part, he also has a very interesting background in the part of the customer. So if you can please share your thoughts with us.
Thank you. Am I audible at the end? Okay, thank you. A little brief about myself. My name is Colonel Hemant Sahani. I head the aerospace and defense business for DSP for Southwest Asia. And as she mentioned, interesting background, I come from a military background. And the most fascinating thing between AOG and military is there are no runners up. Either your aircraft is in air or it is on ground. Therefore, what she asked about the bottlenecks, I feel that you can divide the question into two parts. One, which is more in the domain of the technical background, and the second, where the logistic providers come into play. From the technical point of view, I feel that probably in India, we are a growing economy with a lot of aerospace activities happening. The OEMs are located abroad, so a lot of MROs and AOGs have to go abroad, which involves commercials, turnaround times. Manpower is an issue, globally manpower is an issue, skilled manpower, technical Tooling is an important issue. But let me answer the second part, which is more interesting to the audience today, is the logistics. From the time the PO is generated for the logistics till it is delivered, there are a number of activities which happen. There are air freight carriers out involved, there are freight forwarders involved, there is infrastructure involved. So where does the bottleneck come up? The weakest link is the bottleneck. The capacity becomes its bottleneck. Today if I ask anybody, I think so Gulf crisis is the bottleneck for all of us. But then if you choose the right partner who has got capacity, who has got credibility, who's got resources, I'm sure they can manage, plan and execute the shipments in the military precision way which I mentioned to you. And that's what we all are here about, to learn from each other and share as to how to coordinate the entire chain of activities to ensure that our customers' turnaround times are reduced day by day, activity by activity.
Thank you so much. So we know that India is a very, very big country and turnaround time is something that really matters. But when we talk about pieces availability, we often talk about having more spare parts in our stocks, and that will just bring our logistics costs very, very high. So I would like to ask to Mr. Kishore if you could explain to us if there's any other alternative to make sure that we have the availability being improved, but without such costs as high.
Yeah, okay. I just want to extend, before I answer, I want to extend what Colonel Hemant has said about the bottlenecks. So here what I want to say from the Indian Air Force, I am looking after the procurement in the Indian Air Force. Let me tell you here to this audience that we not only fly the aircraft, we also fly supply chains. And the most important part is not one supply chain, but that we fly multiple supply chains. From the aircraft related supply chains to the, a simple thing like ration supply chains also we have to manage. So when you look at the bottlenecks, I would like to talk about, I have the seniors and the mentors sitting here. A technologistician in the Indian Air Force fights a typical two-front war. When I say two-front war, I am talking of a spectrum of bottlenecks. I will talk about two extremes. One extreme is a battle against extinction. The other end of the spectrum is battle for absorption. When I say absorption, the technological absorption. So, if you look at the Indian Air Force, we have, the legacy platforms that we operate. Alongside, you also have the state-of-the-art and the latest inductions that we handle. So, you have, case in point, you have, say, a platform like Mirage 2000, which is inducted in the 80s, to aircraft. I would take the Rafale, which is being inducted latest in the service, and we also have a planned induction, not only the induction of additional aircraft, but we are looking at creating and building ecosystem for Rafale production in India. So you have a situation here of managing legacy systems and the state-of-the-art one. So when I look at the Mirage, the Dassault is not a problem. About 10 years ago, the production lines are closed. While Dassault is there, but the third line suppliers, the third tier suppliers are not available. So that is a challenge. And we say along with the Rafale, we are talking of what is it called, indigenous content up to 50 to 60%. As a military logistician, I would like to know, you are talking of 50 to 60% value or 50 to 60% of the technology that we want to enact. That is most important, right?
Yes, that's a very important point, and we will go back to it in the end of our discussion when we talk about the technologies. So now if I can ask to Mr. Sreedhar from Akasa to talk to us about the availability of spare parts the question I just made. So how do you see that we could make them more available in India without increasing our stocks and without increasing the logistics cost for it?
Thanks so much. It's a wonderful question. Being in civil aviation, nobody wants to keep the aircraft on ground. Our only objective is to keep the aircraft on flying. So we have to make a good balance between holding the spares and how quickly we can make it available when we actually need it. Yes, to some extent, we need to stock the spares, but the efficient logistics system supports us to get these parts as quickly as possible. That is why the logistics firms and the entire ecosystem plays a very large role, and efficiency brings efficiencies, speed, and makes it available when we actually want it. So I would say, like, yes, we are developing, but still a long way to go as far as concerned. So the connectivity, availability of space, and the solution. We were expecting all these logistics providers to come out with solutions rather than lead sitting and trying them. So that is still we need to improve. We are much far better than what we are, but still a lot of room to improve.
Thank you so much. So you mentioned that we don't want the aircrafts to be on the ground, and that's a worry for the whole industry. So I would like to ask Mr. Anurag. So in AOG situations, where do you believe that the system typically fails?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm audible. So I'll just quickly introduce. My name is Anurag. I take care of Aerospace defense vertical for Continental Carriers Private Limited. And to answer the question, this is something that we do day in, day out, every day. And I'm really thankful to the kind of ecosystem that we have today in the Indian aviation industry, where my friends like Sreedhar, for instance, in Akasa airline would be thoroughly involved in making sure the part reaches as per the downtime tag to his hangars so that aircraft can fly in the air. But the biggest challenge that we face on our end is the coordination and planning. A salesperson in an OEM or a trader could be open 24/7. They process your PO, they get the money, they raise the order to the warehouse. Warehouse and the sales hub have to be in sync. If the warehouse is outsourced to a third party, it's a different ballgame altogether. The placement of the truck to pick up the cargo, to filing the documents for export, bringing it to India, and then the grey area of the customs. So I don't know if much of you know this, but HS code, it's not very standardized across the world. So US, it's got 6 digits, HS code. India, it's got 8. Spain has got 10. So when you hypothetically are moving something from US, a certain part, it comes with the HS code of 6 digits from US. Comes into India, the customs will say this HS code is not in sync. It should be 8 digits. So that understanding that firefighting on the AOG spirit, getting it out, even though you have all the pre-filing and all the checklists and everything in place, still the grey area of customs is a big issue. Mitigating that, you have to make sure that the domestic leg, where the hangar is or where the aircraft is grounded, has to be kept in sync as well. So a simple AOG is generally given by an airline or an MRO on the basis of trust, loyalty and confidence of the freight forwarder. The freight forwarder job is to basically do the coordination planning right from the T, where the cargo has to pick up all the way to deliver to the hangar.
Yeah, thank you. So with this message, I believe, okay, so we have Mr. here to add.
Yeah. To continue what Anurag said, I totally support him that the biggest issue which comes to is putting all the pieces together of the puzzle in a sequence. That is the coordination. Now, a service industry's job is to coordinate everything which is available. Imagine there's an OEM in a different country, there is a carrier from another nationality, there are custom regulations, the customer, there could be chain of people involved. Until and unless you can plan it, you can coordinate it. Now, in this digital era, how is such an enormous amount of cargo being coordinated? Number of digital tools have come into play, but let me assure you, the human resource will always remain critical to this entire chain. Because if you do not understand the complexity of the issues involved, you cannot come up with new solutions. As I just mentioned, the day Gulf crisis started, Anurag would bear with me that our phones never stopped ringing. The number of escalations there were. But since we knew things can go wrong, we had planned in advance. We created alternative solutions. We repositioned the resources just to ensure that the flow of supply chain, the supply continues in that chain and doesn't break. So I feel, and I totally agree with Anurag, coordination remains the keystone. Thank you.
So I just want to add in this that planning is the biggest typical challenge, in AOG situations. So what I feel that when how AOG situation arise, just because of the lack of safety stock, lack of planning. So I just request if we can have a better planning in this, so we can avoid such type of situations. Other challenges like customs, freight, transportation can be workable, but AOG situation planning cannot be ignored. So planning should be efficient to avoid such type of situation. Thank you.
Okay, so
I just want to add one point, because I don't want to miss out on the defense, because I don't want to lose the opportunity here with the kind of audience that we have. When it comes to the armed forces, I am sure you all would agree that the planning cannot go wrong. So I tend to slightly deviate from my counterpart. What he said now is that in our case, the AOG is primarily on account of the vendors not able to supply the item. If you see today's context, we have seen the kind of exogenous shocks that we are feeling for the last 5 years. We have seen the pandemic, then we saw the Russia-Ukraine, then when we saw the Israel. Now entire world is is in a kind of a state, geopolitical instability. Typically, it's a VUCA world that we are into, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world. So we find, till the time we are not truly Atmanirbhar, so you can't have a situation. So in our case, import reliance is a major situation for AOG.
yes, I agree with you. If we can play an AOG, then it's a routine or critical is not an AOG. But I would also like to have the perspective of Mr. Surinder from SpiceJet. What do you think is where the system fails on the AOGs from an airline perspective?
Hello everyone. So on the AOG front, for an airline operation, you have to deal with two situations, either line operations or base maintenance. The line operations, whatever you do, pre-planning, 100% planning, whatever planning, there is no 100% inventory. There will be some surprise in the line operations that you have to cater to the AOG situation. So, one is to pre-plan for the available inventory in your stock. The second portion is how do you plan your complete supply chain system. So, in this complete system, there is a supplier or the OEMs or the stockist. Other end is the airline or the user or MRO. In between is the logistic company. So now you have to make your arrangements such a way that you have made a call, you have released the PO, how quickly your logistic partner go and pick up the material. So these are the small nitty-gritty which Anurag has been telling about the HSN codes or getting the item stuck in customs maybe for 6 hours or 1 day. But the whole smart thing is how do you manage this complete supply chain. It should not happen your aircraft is AOG, you start searching for your suppliers. Who will supply you? Once you locate somebody, then you start searching who will pick up this. So this kind of things, if some airline is not able to do it, definitely there is an AOG which will be longer. Second portion is during the base maintenance, when the aircraft is opened up, there will be surprises, there will be some structural items which nobody keeps in the store. You go back to the OEM OEMs also don't keep it on the shelf. You order the kit, you order the structural parts, they will supply you within certain times. This all depends on your smart way of creating the arrangements with the suppliers as well as your logistic partners.
So before Mr. Anurag compliments your answer, I believe you're straight to the point, and the industry is developing itself to bring better tools for visibility and for all of the situations that we can control. In an AOG, there's parts where we can and there's parts we cannot, and we need to make sure that for the parts we can, we have everything on point.
Just seconding to what Dr. Bansal said, failure in predictive maintenance or lead time. For an aircraft that is grounded, AOG is AOG. And in a situation like this, the entire supply chain has to come together rather than work in silo. And that's the spirit of an AOG service.
Okay, so speaking about tools that would enable us to deliver a better service or a better end product to AOG supply chain, I would like to ask to Mr. Suresh, what do you think that is the part of the technology on this? How do you think that the live tracking is supporting? How is the industry reacting to that? If you can talk to us about this, please.
Thank you so much. So, yes, everybody has put their point very well and very well taken. I can talk from the point of view of providing a solution on the situation being RSR Aviation is, yes, integration of some system where we can plan the inventory. This can be one solution. It cannot be 100% mitigated all the problems, yes, but can be reduced up to a certain level. And for the, from the defense segment, there are certain aircraft, which are Russian aircraft, we are unable to get the parts, make in India or, encouraging the Indian manufacturers to manufacture those parts, and process can be smoothened by providing them an early approval, or, so that whatever the capital they're putting up to manufacture those parts can be a better solution on that. Like how we are facing so much of challenges nowadays, so many inventories, not getting all the manufacturers who were manufacturing somewhere in British, they've been shut it down, not able to provide any parts. So that's the alternative solution, indigenization, I would say, because we are going to operate those aircraft, we are not going to scrap it, we have to operate it. So that can be one solution. And then inventory management in terms of the airlines, in terms of private operators, syncing with the companies like us, and we are ready to support their inventory. We are ready to take all that kind of risk with us by managing their inventory, so that we can try to reduce the AOG situations, and unless there is some mishappening happens, But that's my view on the supply chain.
Okay, thank you so much. So as the demand is growing and the country is still big, I would like to ask to Mr. Kishore, do you think we should develop new hubs in India, or do you think that the way that it's put it today is working for the distribution?
Okay, here I want to give a kind of an analogy between the civil versus the armed forces. The armed forces always have a kind of a plan A and plan B and plan B to plan B. So is your stocking philosophy that we have. We never believed in having one single centralized hub and spoke, because once one hub gets compromised, then the entire supply chain is lost. So what we have is a system is that while you have a kind of a centralized nodal, but then you also have a regional hubs. So then the regional hubs become kind of serving the customers in a particular region. So in today's context, I would say that we should go for more of a regional hubs, and not that you wait for a component to come from either a Middle East or Singapore. We should definitely have more than one hub in India. When you look at the kind of India today, we have the fast reach that you have. Anywhere from one side of the country to the other, we have a kind of airports that we have, the kind of a road infrastructure that you have, I think we definitely need to have regional hubs in India, at least a couple. Okay, that is what is my take.
Okay, thank you so much.
So I just want to add to something. See, India is a market, no manufacturer can ignore it. So having said that, we are seeing a lot of movement by OEM, like the putting up a warehouse here closer to our place of consumption. There are a lot of movement, but I'm sure the present the environment, government, whatever regulation, everything supports that system. So eventually we will see that. And the another important, localization. There is no doubt on the capability of Indians or Indian companies to manufacture. We are serving the whole world, but because of the regulation by the manufacturers, they cannot supply it locally. They manufacture here, send it to Boeing or Airbus, and it comes back. We know that thousands of suppliers are here who is supplying to Boeing, but they cannot sell it here. So there is a bottleneck on that. And like defense, I am sure you have another mechanism to source it locally. Civil aviation, there is a lot of it. There is a lot of it.
Let me just give you a geographical overview of India. The entire MRO was concentrated around Mumbai, Delhi. Then we came at a phase where growth of Bangalore started because of precision machining. So a lot of companies started investing. Then came Hyderabad. Now you heard about Jewar in Noida. I will also talk about the defense forces because I have been part of that. Imagine 1,500 new aircrafts are going to come to India in next few years. The amount of airports that are being built, many of them are going to be dual use, both by the armed forces as well as civil aviation. So it causes a point that why not you have the distribution centers in tier 2 and tier 3 cities? The advantage would be that you will turnaround times will drastically reduce. Your cost of operating, the landing cost will reduce because your last mile delivery is very close to the tier 2 or tier 3 cities. And more importantly is, as per our Prime Minister's vision of PM Gati, we are into that vision stage where we are going to develop this tier 2 and tier 3 cities and move a lot of cargo and passenger traffic to them. This will uniformly distribute the load and it will give you adequate manpower. The rental cost would be less, the operation cost would be the less, and your service levels will improve drastically. So there is a very important milestone where we have new regional hubs coming up. But I also want to understand that who will make them? Is it the government who should make it? It is an airline who should make, the operator, or who? But if you look at, many companies have invested a lot. Air India has invested, Indigo has invested, the Thales has invested, Safran has come up with the new MRO in Hyderabad. So the industry leads have taken that to create that hubs, and now is the time for others to join that bandwagon and expand that into tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
Can I just add one point? He made kind of one pertinent question here. If we talk of hubs, whether one or many, the question, a very pertinent question is who's going to create it? So, in the Indian context today, and the way India is moving, I would say its responsibility is with the government to create the hub. It is the OEM who should be the inventory holder, and the SMEs and other civil partners are the ones who are going to be the operators of that hub. So you have three stakeholders: the government creating the infra, the OEM coming and the Boeing and other companies coming and holding the inventory at those places, and the SME is the one who is going to operate those. That would be a workable model as far as India is concerned. This is my take.
So I totally agree with the statements which you have given. So currently what customers are looking, the suppliers who can stock the material on their behalf. So there are different warehouses available in the market, like bonded warehouse, other warehousing facilities. So we can opt that facility. As a trader, if I talk about myself, I am from Divyansh Aviation. So we have recently opted the services of bonded warehouse. to stock the material, it gives many of the benefits like to safety duty, customs duty, while we have to clear the shipment, then we have to pay the duty. Otherwise, we have to save the duty at that time once the material comes inside the bonded warehouse. So that activities, that exercises, if we do, then we can, obviously have some more regional hubs, and save the money. And I totally concur with your, last point that this investment should lead by government. It should not be a, trader or OEM responsibility only. It should be a, collaborative job. So to, minimize the supply disruptions, what we are facing right now.
Thank you. Yeah, and speaking about the future, we see all of these investments that you guys mentioned on the news. We see that India is getting a lot of attention. It's a big country. English-speaking people. We have all of the technology here, and it's growing a lot. So, Ashok, for you, how do you imagine the next 5 years a logistics scenario that is resilient? How would you describe that?
Well, it would be, stronger than today. So what I expect that, we would be, over the years, we would be having the proper visibility, on end-to-end supply chain solutions on which we are facing, challenge right now. And we will have a more flexibility and, last but not least, the diversification is also very important. Right now, what we are facing that, we are totally dependent on the one OEM, one supplier. Just because of that, if we go back to the OEMs, if we go back to the, like if I talk about the Airbus and Boeing aircraft, so if we go back to the Airbus, that this product is not available in the market and, can you tell the alternate of this product? So that communication, takes a long to respond back. So I think diversification would be the, the better option to avoid such issues in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Surinder, how do you imagine logistics in the next 5 years?
See, it's a hard fact that aviation, civil aviation, is a single source suppliers. We do not have multi-suppliers. So we can't break that. So we have to live with it. Second is, as the hubs getting created or some OEMs are coming and getting your warehouses here, everything is economics. Everything is money. Nobody wants to put in money just for the sake of creating a hub. So this is how I have earlier also said that the pre-planning interaction with the suppliers and the logistic parties and the end users, that needs to be understood. For me, if it is supplier is, let's say, Satier gives me range of spares, so I have to go back to that. Now they supply from Singapore, they supply from India, they supply from any other country. For me, the material has to travel to me through one media. So now if somebody wants to open a warehouse in India, he has to have the customer base. If the consumption is not there, then what's the point of opening up the units in India? So like we have that Boeing warehouse in a special economic zone in Noida. So they have their own model. But that makes a little bit difference to the end user, that material rather than getting shipped from USA is getting shipped from Noida. So material is available to me within 1 day rather than 3 days. So it all depends if I am able to predict my consumption for that warehouse so that he is able to stock. So this is the interaction which has to take place. Government can only waive up certain rules. Government doesn't give expenses. Government doesn't give the money. Government is there to make regulations.
Thank you.
Sir, you made a very important point. Everything is fine, but if there is no business, nobody will invest. So the question is, after 5 years, where are we? After 5 years, we have another fleet of 1,500 aircrafts. The passenger traffic is going to grow by 1.6 times. The value of the MRO market is going to move from $2 billion to $4 billion. We will be 5 years older. the revenues of our companies will be double and beyond. I foresee that the most high trajectory growth industry today in India is going to be aerospace, and within the aerospace is going to be AOG and MRO. Why I'm talking about is, please understand how the government has unfolded its infrastructure plan. Airports have come, that means aircrafts will fly. Aircrafts will fly, that means passengers will fly. So many things will happen together. When the aircrafts will fly, you would require them for the MRO, for the AOGs. Safran has built a capacity in Hyderabad to service 300 LEAP engines annually. Imagine the same engines used to move out of India to either Singapore or US or Europe. The same engine is going to get serviced here in India. That means a lot of movement of the business from Southeast Asia is going to move inside India, from Dubai is going to move inside India. So I see a very positive and a promising future for the AOG, and I can assure you, sir, that India is going to take growth in the leaping bounds, and there will be adequate market for all of us to play around.
Thank you. Mr. Sreedhar, during your last answer, you mentioned that India is ready to supply the world and India is ready to develop further the industry. So in your opinion, what are the strongest points about India aerospace industry at the moment? Mr. Surinder from Akasa.
See, as my colleagues and friends mentioned that growth is going to be in this part of the world. Airplanes are coming, people are traveling, so that itself attracts a lot of business. So the present interest from the OEM to put up like what Hemant mentioned about Safran and Bansal have mentioned about Boeing. These are all the positive things that will bring them closer to the market. That will help the operator as well as economy as well. So there is a positive trend. The most important thing is they also need to encourage local, like manufacturing. Though we have the capability, approvals and other things, that will also bring about a lot of change at this fast rate.
Thank you so much. Mr. Anurag, I would like to ask you to share some final conclusions of the debate. So final message to the audience.
See, some very wise man once said resilience. Resilience does not come from credibility, visibility, or speed. It's a kind of a harmony between all legs, all pinpoints who are responsible for a movement. Logistics in a very grey area is not pick up and move. In classic cases today, if you see what is happening around the world, the two biggest airlines that mostly logistics team depend on, Qatar and Emirates, for instance, they are not operating. And moreover, as a logistician, and few of our friends here can also comment, it's really a spine breaker. In this situation, if there's an AOG situation or even a routine request, the planning coordination with the airline and in sync to Dr. Bansal was said, you and me will not pay more. We do like a sort of low to high fare on make my trip or something like that. So the average cost of passenger flying from Delhi, Bombay, one of the heaviest, busiest route, will still remain the same, while the logistics cost may go up and down. So in the next 5 years, it's too far, let's say in the next 2.5, 3 years maybe, you'll see a sea change in terms of the hub and spoke model, the treated warehousing zones, public-private bonded spaces coming up. It's all about connectivity. I mean, 5 years back, pre-COVID, OEM had distributors, regional distributors, India distributors. Now they've all been the opening shops in India, as even Hemant was mentioning. So times are going to be tough. There'll be a consolidation, that's what I think, in every sphere of life. And those who know the game are confident of the service offerings will stay and keep delivering for these 1,500 or 15,000 aircrafts wherever we go in civil or defense aviation.
So I just want to make one point here. During my day's interaction with the people, I realized that there is still a lot of amount of confusion as to how do you deal with the defense and supplies. So I want to make it very clear that we have adequate structures and structured processes for the SMEs to do business with the Indian Air Force, with the militaries. So there are certification agencies. One may find it difficult, but it's not as difficult as it appears, because if you look at the Indian Air Force, over the years we have indigenized large number of items. We have the certificates for them, so it's possible. So what I would urge in this forum is that we in the military are really looking at the SME in India to be part of this process. That is what is very, very important.
Okay, thank you so much. So we see that the aerospace logistics here in India is extremely complex, and we do develop the new strategies to support it. We have here on the stage many players of the industry that share their views on it, and we are all aligned on the fact that we are growing and this is not going to stop. India is going to continue to be a reference for the aerospace. And with that, I would like to ask if someone of the audience would like to make a question. You will get a mic, just a second.
I'm Marshal Sreedhar from the Air Force. In fact, one point which I just want to share is, I'm just wondering as to how do you fly the machines for 60 years? It's a good case study for MiG-21. You put this machine for 60 years. And mind you, all those OEM shops had got shut down, everything went off. Still be fluid, and we are still flying 4 aircraft, still we are flying with that, after even phasing out there. Now imagine, how did we do this? The basic thing which we have to have is the ownership accountability, for whatever level it is, whether it's a line maintenance, it's a base maintenance. So probably the issue is, like what we do is, we have a mechanism called provisioning reviews. So we sit once in a year, we find out, okay, what is my consumption rate, what's happening to my various levels of spares, and then we chalk out, then we make a plan and we start provisioning them. We come to know, okay, these components are not going to be available, they are obsolete, they are finished. We start indigenizing them, we start looking for alternate sources. So this is a nice case study as to how do we manage, how does the military aviation manage to fly the aircraft for 50 years, 60 years, or do we get the spares? So this is something which in fact is amazing, and how we manage that. Just food for thought. So similarly, because in civil aviation, nobody is owning that aircraft. So that is the unfortunate part. Something goes wrong, we start looking at the OEM. So here Indian Air Force itself becomes the OEM. Because I know I have got 350 aircraft, A-class, let's say for example, Sukhois. I know I have to sustain 280 aircraft for the next 40 years. So I start looking at it every year. I start doing the provisioning reviews. We have a mechanism. It's all computerized. Everything is, the moment goes down, we pen it down on that. End of the year, we come to know how many spares I have consumed and how do I get it next year. So this is good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So talk, so if you just take the mic. On it? Mask off.
Yeah, please. I'm Dr. Jagdish Shivare, professor and ex-distinguished scientist, ISRO. Sir, my question, how is the aerospace logistics implementation strategy in India different than global in terms of our potential priorities and nation-building challenges?
Thank you for the question. So you want to understand how things happen globally and how things are in India. So let's understand who are the key players in the logistics. The first and foremost is going to be carrier. That means that the aircraft carrier or aerospace carrier, airlines carrier, then ships. Who owns them? Not India. Where is the bulk manufacturing happening? Outside India. Where are the biggest warehouses? Outside India. But does that mean that we are not there? No, sir, we are totally there. You will be amazed to know the amount of volume of tonnage both in the air and ocean India does in APAC, and globally you would find that our volumes are in the top 10 In many segments, we are in top 5 because that's the potential India has started doing the trade. Coming on the second important aspect is, has that capability started developing in India? Yes. You must have recently heard that India started planning to build the containers in India. That means what will happen? That the capacity will be inbound in India. We will decide how the trade will happen, which trade lane will get importance. We have gone into the shipbuilding. Sooner or later we will start making ships which will carry the cargo. We are into the state where we are talking about final assembly of commercial aircrafts. I won't be surprised if that another decade or so we start assembling freighter aircrafts in India. So yes, we were lagging, but in the last decade and two, our journey towards the growth has been much faster than it was prior. And there is as I mentioned about PM Gati, it's a big vision which involves the ecosystem of OEMs, of the policymakers, of the SMEs, MSMEs, infrastructure development, capacity building in all domains. And I can assure you, sir, that we are in the top few ranking countries when it comes to trade and captive capacity with them.
Yeah, and to complement that, when you look at India also, when you look at aerospace, we cannot forget that the boss of the industry is the passenger. So everything starts with the demand of the passenger, of course not when we are talking about the military, but when we talk about the business in general. If we have people flying, we have the need of airplanes, and if we have the airplanes, we have the need of the whole industry to keep them on the sky. In India, in the next 10 years, it's already now very important, but the projections of internal flights, people will start to, use more flights, and that comes directly related to how the development economically is going, and how much the country is developing itself on that sense. So before, you would have people taking trains, you would have people taking land, and in the future it's going to be possible to have more and more people taking flights internally, and that will continue to develop the industry. It develops the industry not only for us with the logistics, but it develops the whole chain of it, because we will need more flight crew, we will need more airports, we will need more systems for it and the structure for it. So you see all of that. I hope that answers your question.
Can I also give a military answer to it?
Okay, of course,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So since that ISRO scientist is asking, I thought, it would be interesting for me to give you a military perspective to your question. See, as a logistician, I also think how different is the Indian military in comparison to either developed or other countries. When you look at it, like what Air Marshal Sheva sir is, very interestingly brought out, that we operate aircraft for up to 60 years. We have an Avro which is still being operated in India. We have operated MiG-21 till, we operate Avro, and we also have C-17, C-130s also being operated in the probably the same base. So how different is the Indian military from global is the difference comes here. The legacy spectrum is too large. That is number one. The number two, which is again most important and challenging for a maintenance branch, is that you have a Russian platforms, you have European platforms, you have the Western platforms, and you have the indigenous platforms. So one is if you look at the aviation, if I also look at the air defense systems, you have. So it's not that one platform sourced from say Europe is purely Europe. So you have the avionics coming from Israel. So certain other things developed indigenously by the DRDO and other agencies. So that makes the the challenges in India are different from the global challenges. I think I thought I must make a point here.
We have time for another one.
Good afternoon, panel. I'm Subin R. Sood. I'm a naval aviation officer. I have about 8 years of experience in frontline aircraft operations, and I've handled about hundreds of AOGs. So, and these operations have been spanning from well-connected places like Kochi all the way to remote places, tier 3 cities like Porbandar, where I presently am, where AOG timelines are very conveniently violated. So now as I'm transitioning into the corporate world, I'm leaving maybe in about 3 months. I was just wondering, my question to the panel is in 2 parts. First is, can we look at cross-operator logistics? Like for example, in my case, I have sourced parts for my Dornier 228 aircraft from the Indian Coast Guard. Same aircraft, same part number, everything remains same. I've even approached HAL and civil operators. So I found that to be quite a feasible model for managing my aviation, especially in remote locations like Porbandar. And second question linked to this is, can we use AI to sort of bridge the gap and integrate AI into predictive health monitoring systems so that we can pre-position aircraft spares at the depot or the hub so that the operator, frontline operator or the base support is well prepared to handle the AOG. So it's in 2 parts. First is inter-operator feasibility. Can Akasa today say, yes, I'll give a part to Air India for their Boeing 737? And the second is, can we use AI? If somebody using AI, they can tell us a little more about it.
Hello. Hello. I'm not sure how far, for the outside world, Air India, Indigo, Akasa, all are competitors. For engineering, we are all friends. Airside, we work very differently, we help each other. Everybody help each other, they help us, Akasa help them, they help us, SpiceJet, we help them, Indigo, we help them. Depending on the model of aircraft we operate. Okay. Air India and all, we are all, engineering side, it works very differently and we all help each other wherever possible. Okay. We may have some restrictions or we will have some limitations. Notwithstanding that, all possible help is there. This happened from material point of sight as well as manpower point of sight. Audible. So manpower also, we help each other. Remote station, what we said, Guwahati or Agartala, where we fly. If they need something, we help them. They help them in Port Blair. This is very common and it is not a new, it is happening also. Ever since I know I have been that is the, what was the second thing? I don't know, it's meant for you or
AI related. Is there an AI being built into your management systems?
Material management system, like we use software. AI is a new entrant. Yes, we have been hearing about this. How far it is successful? From Akasa, we are exploring this. To be very candid with you guys, whatever can be integrated, however more predictable, and some of the health monitoring, it is already in place. That is the reason why many of our, not only Akasa, any other aircraft is not on ground because it's already predicted and taken care. Otherwise, nobody can. Half of the fleet flying in India will be on ground. To the challenges involved in getting the parts from abroad. So this is already in place. Yes, there is a scope for improvement. We constantly improvise and we help each other. We learn from others' mistakes. We educate them. We learn from them. That is how the industry works. See, aviation is a very close family and we all know each other. And that is how we achieve it.
So can I give the second part? I'm very happy to tell you, share it with you. The more competent people are sitting behind in blue. As far as the Air Force is concerned, we have the ERPs. One is EMOLS and the other is EMMS. What you're talking of AI, the predictive tools are being built into our system. This is a work in process. We have 2 concepts which are currently being worked on. One is the serviceability linked inventory management. What we have is an inventory management. We are converting that into a serviceability linked inventory management and serviceability linked asset management. So these are the AI enabled ERPs are in pipeline and very soon we will have them in place in a year or 2 actually. Some of the AI analytics are already built into our current ERPs and we are going in a major big way as far as the Air Force is concerned, as far as the AI part is concerned.
So this is in constant development. The aerospace industry is growing tremendously and very fast. So we already had in the past where AI was already employed in our industry was in a very simple task that probably you do every year when you want to take vacation with your family. You go to the website, you try to search for prices for tickets. So there's already a level of predictability that is done with AI on that part. So that varies about, that predicts where people are flying, how much they are paying, where we should be prepared as a logistics chain to support these airlines and these airplanes. There's also another part of it. It's on the maintenance part when we have an engine and you are getting the parts ready for this engine that has been repaired on your shop. You can already see how much of the readiness is done and how much time you still need, how much percent is the involvement of it, because many parts are coming from different players in order to get it done. And you can already inform the whole logistics chain about how much time you still need to have it completed. So it's a very, very broad topic that you can discuss in many angles that you wish. But the answer for you clear is yes, there is already a support from the AI that has been there for a while, and as further as it gets developed, it helps us to even bring more efficiency to the whole industry. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so very much, Mireily, and thank you so very much, gentlemen. Let's go ahead.
That brings our session to a close, the business session on aerospace logistics, the backbone of MRO readiness. Can we give everyone a round of applause, and we ask our panelists to come forward for a photo, and we will present them with a token of appreciation.